Hi, so if you are watching this video, you will be learning all about smart carbs today. This is one of my favorite videos because carbs is the hot topic always. Carbs are the devil, carbs are really good for you. You need to eat no carbs to lose weight, you need to eat this many carbs to lose weight, you need to boil these carbs, you need to bake these carbs, and the list goes on and on and on. So today I'm just going to give you an overview of this practice and kind of give you some action steps to start on and some additional resources that you can look through and hopefully leave you with a little bit of clarity. So we will be discussing eating enough carbohydrates. So your practice, if you're watching this right now and you're currently on this practice, you're eating 1 to 2 cupfuls of smart carbs at every meal. And we'll get to what smart carbs are in a minute. So the purpose of this exercise is to bridge the internal and the external cueing when we build a practice, right? So a reminder, external cueing is good for hand portions. They tell us how much we need. Internal cueing is where we tap into how our body feels by eating very slowly and stopping at 80% full. The long-term goal is internal cueing only. Nobody wants to be using their hand measurements for the rest of their life, but it's very useful in the moment to practice until you've mastered this practice and it's become a habit. Okay? So why are carbs important? Right? Do we need carbs? There's always the infamous ketogenic diet, which I can do a different video on. But carbs are very important because they are the body's primary source of energy. Yes, the body can make energy from fat, but carbs are going to be the primary source. They're very useful. They have a long list of jobs that they do within the body. If you eat enough carbs, you should feel good, right? You should feel light. You should feel ready for your next event, work day, next project, whatever it may be. You should not feel sluggish. You shouldn't feel drained or tired. That can also go with how much you're eating, but in general, carbs should make you feel good. Just like all the other foods that we're incorporating, they should make you feel good, light, healthy, active, ready to go. So if you're having too much or maybe too much of the wrong kinds, they will make you feel sluggish, like you need to take a nap, maybe some bloating issues going on, and definitely some long-term weight gain. So if you're feeling satisfied, you have a clear head, you're recovering well from workouts, you're sleeping well, those are all good signs that you're eating well. So we could talk for hours about the types of carbs that there are, and I'm including vegetables as well in the carbs, but for this practice, we'll just talk about like the cupped hand. We'll talk about what I call smart carbs and carbs on the entire spectrum. So yes, vegetables are carbohydrates. I'm not going to include those in today's video since you already have a separate practice of making sure you get 1 to 2 fist sizes of veggies at every meal. What kind of carbohydrates do we want? If I held up an apple and held up a Snickers bar and I said, which one's going to be better for you? Everyone understands the apple is going to be better for you. But how do we take action on that? How do we implement that and keep it as a long-term practice? We want to think about carbs as being on a spectrum, just like everything else. How we talk about food should be on a spectrum. The way that we eat is always on a spectrum. We eat some, we eat less of some foods, and we eat more of some foods. And carbs are no different. So what we want to do is we want to focus on better carbs, not fewer carbs. And again, I'm not teaching any specific diet or fad or craze right now. This is just long-term. Seems really simple, seems really boring, but this is going to be the best direction that you can go in for long-term sustainable change. No yo-yoing going on. So with that said, we always want to focus on better carbs. If we're always focusing on fewer carbs, we usually supplement that lacking nutrition with something else that isn't very good for us. Like if I'm cutting down on fewer carbs, I might be eating more processed foods and I don't realize it. So instead, let's add in things that we want. So for our 1 to 2 cupfuls, we can have things like smart carbs. Those are going to be more of the starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes or grains, whole grains, quinoa, maybe a lentil pasta or lentils themselves. Things like that. Those are going to be considered smart carbs. Now, you are in the driver's seat, so you get to decide every day what you eat. If you want to have a handful of Pringles, perfect. Pop them in your hand. That's 1 handful. That's 2. Carry on. It's going to give you carbs that you need. Even if they're not on the best side of the spectrum, that's okay. It's going to help you understand how much you need to have. So if you're eating dinner and you have a great meal, right, of foods that you really enjoy and you eat a lot of, and it's a healthy meal, that's awesome. If the very next day you have a good protein, you have a good fat source, you have a little bit of veggies, and you just really want some mac and cheese, or you really want a handful of Cheetos after, go ahead and do that. Now you have a good measurement to go by. So this is, again, on a spectrum. So you can add in whatever carbs you need to. Long term, we're trying to be better every day. 1% better every day. So I hope that makes sense to you on there is a spectrum of carbs and how you can incorporate those. And now you have a really good guideline of how much to have at every meal. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wrote it down. I forgot to read it. But these are just examples. Smart carbs are like fruit, tubers, which is like potatoes and sweet potatoes. Starchy vegetables, kind of like corn. We have whole grains. We have beans and legumes, oats, things like that are all going to be smart carbs. And then the ones that tend to be on the eat less side of the spectrum, those will include things you can buy in boxes, in bags, in little plastic coatings, things like pastries, bars, and that includes most protein bars, cereal bars, things like that, cookies, cakes, cereals, dried fruits, muffins, donuts, anything like that. So those are going to be things we want to eat a little bit less, but if you decide to eat them, you know how much to have. And that's important long term. You can add those in because you want them, but ideally long term we want those smarter carbs, not because I'm just preaching this to you, but your body needs those vitamins and minerals and fiber and all those nutrients in those smart carbs. The refined carbs are going to give you the actual sugars that you need, but they're lacking all the other nutrients and the fiber and all the goodness that your body needs to feel good and be healthy. So I didn't go in depth on too much specifics. It's very simple. It's the same as all your other, practices, just a little bit different measurement. So what does that mean for you? You are now 8 minutes and 50 seconds into this video, and you're thinking, okay, I have a little bit of clarification now. What do I do now? You want to start where you are at. If you are someone that's cooking rice once a week and quinoa every other week, and you're having oats once a month, keep doing that. And maybe add in a little bit more fruit occasionally, or a little bit better carbs, like more quinoa instead of fried rice. Or just make your own rice instead of buying fried rice. So if you're there, that's a good starting point for you. If you're someone that is buying a cake pop every time you go through Starbucks, you are buying the little bag of mini muffins every time you go to the store, you are someone that loves your boxed cookies after every dinner, then you might need to tail back and kind of tone down your next step. So instead of buying muffins every time you go to the store, maybe buy them every other time. In times that you would have the muffins, maybe try oatmeal or a whole wheat toast. You can put butter on it. You can put whatever you want on it. We're just trying to make very small changes from there. So if you are unsure where your starting point is and where you can go from here, there's 2 things I recommend. The first and foremost is go through your resource section. I say this every video. They have wonderful articles, visuals, recipes, all sorts of stuff that you can go through and learn a little bit more for yourself and where to go from there. And number 2, you have me. So if you have any questions, use that message icon, reach out to me, and I'm happy to help with whatever you need. Okay, and that is all I have. I was going to talk a little bit more about food addiction, but I might do that in another video. Very simply put, all of those refined carbs have the trifecta, which is what they call it's like a storm in the brain. It's like a stimulation storm, and that's when all of those fortified foods and those processed foods, they have butter, sugar, and usually salt, and that just kind of blows the brain up, and it tastes really good, so now we always want more. So if you're watching this and you're like, yeah, I eat a lot of those processed carbs, and it's going to be really hard for me to branch out from that, that's okay. You are not alone. You are not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. A lot of those companies, those foods are made to make you want more. Doritos are made to make you want to eat the whole bag and then buy another bag. So there's nothing wrong with you. That's just something that's more information, right, for power. So with that said, check out your resource page. Watch this video as many times as you need to. Reach out to me if you have any questions. And carry on. So we are doing 1 to 2 cup sizes of carbs at every meal. And this is in conjunction with all the other habits you have already done, but this will be your priority, right? So we want to focus on this the most. So with that said, I hope this video helped you, and I hope you have a great day. You got this. Take an action every day, making those steps. All right, and I will talk to you soon.